All right, so we are recording and we have a full program, so we are going to start. And hi, everyone. I'm Sheila Hurst, member of Reading West Rotary and the District International Service Chair. Welcome to International Service Opportunities around the world for you and your club. Now, we have a very special program planned for you today, and so it's going to go the full time. Now, you might have the idea that international service is all only about grants and projects. Actually, in Rotary International, service includes projects, events, and activities taking place between Rotarians and others in 2 or more countries. In fact, international service is the overarching priority for Rotary. It includes membership and fundraising and fellowship and projects and DEI, and empowerment for girls, all areas of service and focus and much more. So during this session, you're going to hear about some of the special opportunities and learn how you and your club can become involved. To provide a smooth transition between speakers and to save time, rather than me coming back and introducing each speaker, the speaker will introduce the person following them, okay? So here's the overview of the speakers. First, we're going to hear from past District Governor Karl Diekman, and I'll give you a little bit more information about him in just a couple of minutes. Next, Skip McCowan is going to share some thoughts about better health for Guatemalan children. Skip is a member of the District International Service Committee. He's also the International Service Chair for Lamorinda Rotary, which is his club. Yenjean Hwang is chair of the International Vision Board of Directors. She's the International Service Chair for her club, Orinda Rotary, and she has exciting news from International Vision volunteers in Zambia and an invitation to visit. I hope your passport is ready. Larry Hutchings, who is the International Service Chair for Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise Rotary, has updates from Nsawo Village Maternity and Pediatric Clinic in Uganda. And then we're going to have a demonstration of the District International Service Project showcase by Daniel Kodam. Daniel is president for the second time of Danville Sycamore Valley Rotary, and he's also the district webmaster. So we're going to start with Karl. You might remember that Karl was the district governor for 5160 in 2010-11. Karl is a member of the Rotary Foundation cadre of technical advisors. He's a director of the Health, Education, and Wellness Rotary Action Group, a member of the District International Service Committee, a member of Woodland Rotary, and I could go on and take all of his time, but I won't do that. Please help me welcome Karl Diekman.
Well, thank you, Sheila. And I'm a little out of my normal environment today, so let's see if I can make all these tools work. First off, I would like to tell you that my topic is the role of international service in your Rotary experience. And my view of international service for Rotarian is framed by my 40 years of Rotary experience, my term as district governor, my 2 terms as district foundation chair, and many, many, many trips around the world. So I will start by telling you, when I joined Rotary in 1982, I had no expectation or understanding that international service was part of Rotary. I joined Rotary to advance my affiliation with my community and its leaders. My district was active internationally, so I quickly learned that international service was one of Rotary's avenues of service and took advantage of it in 1984 by hosting a group study exchange team leader and his wife during their visit to my district. Now, for those of you who don't know about group study exchange, it was a program to facilitate international understanding and exchanges among professionals in a particular field, such as medical or engineering. That program effectively ended in 2010 with the introduction of what was then Future Vision for our International Foundation Grant Program. Now, this was the first time that I truly realized that I was responsible for my Rotary experience, and I could make that experience whatever I wanted it to be. Over time, I discovered that my Rotary experience evolved as I journeyed through the chapters of my life. And you can read about the chapters of your life in Gail Sheehy's book, Passages, because it was a foundation of almost everything I know about myself today. Well, maybe you don't want to know about myself today, but in any event, read the book. It's a good one. Since that first experience of hosting a GSE team leader, I've had numerous encounters with international service, just as tens of thousands of Rotarians do every day. To tell a complete story about my experience with international service, I would like to share a guiding value that I learned through reading the 1949 edition, the 8th printing, however, which was in 1979, of Rotary's 7 Paths to Peace. Now, it laid out the Rotary policy on international service at that time and into the 1980s. And I do paraphrase a little bit because it was very gender specific. If you remember, until the late 1980s, Rotary was a men-only organization. And that was solved by the Supreme Court of the United States. And so, in part, it reads that the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professionals are united in the ideal of service. Now, the policy statement goes on to say that each Rotarian is expected to make his individual contribution to the achievement of the ideal inherent in the 4th avenue of service, international service. Now, up until recent years, we only had 4 avenues of service. Now we have 5, but they are the 5 general areas where Rotary works. That policy also offered that Rotary clubs should not engage in any corporate effort to influence governments, world affairs, or international policies, but the Rotarians should devote their energies toward informing the individual Rotarian of these important matters so that they will develop an enlightened and constructive attitude of mind. So what I took that to mean was that you can learn all about what other people do, respect it and understand it, and don't try to interfere with it. Now, Rotary's view of international service has grown and changed over time, but the early principles remain. Today, Rotary has a simpler statement regarding this avenue of service, which reads, and I think Sheila said this earlier, international service exemplifies our global reach in promoting peace and understanding. We support this service avenue by sponsoring or volunteering on international projects, seeking partners abroad, and more. Now, I've had the good fortune to participate in many hands-on activities, ranging from club visits in foreign countries, hosting Rotarians or Rotary guests, such as a delegation of the People's Republic of China to my then District 5170 in the early 1990s. You know, it was interesting to me that my guest, his daughter was the Chinese ambassador to India, and he was a member of the People's Deputies Congress. Imagine what I had the opportunity to learn from him at that time. Touring to investigate future projects, such as a reservoir project for a school in Thailand that was being built after the Great Tsunami. Now, my part was to explore the feasibility of the project. And I want you to think about this. You don't have to do anything special to be a participant in a project. You just have to be willing to extend the effort and use the skills you have. Leading and participating in a vocational and training team projects. A couple of examples are our Kenya Smiles project and the cervical cancer project, prevention project that are put together in Nicaragua. Even without the technical skills of being a dentist or a doctor, I was able to contribute by supporting logistics and planning. Organizing and funding projects. This is another area where you can work. Recently, I have worked to help clubs organize and fund projects. And I'd like to tell you, sometimes we forget as Rotarians, little small contributions work out. You know, one of the fun things that we used to do in some of the clubs I belong to is somebody had an idea for a project. And I remember one of our past district governors, Peter Faya, had a project idea down in Central America, and he wanted to collect some money to help them build a little water project in this village. And, you know, we all chipped in $25, $50, $100, whatever we could. Pretty soon he had enough money to help them build that little water project they wanted down there. So sometimes it isn't the big projects, it's just the little things. And we should not hesitate to try and build or leverage up small little pieces of things to make them big. Now, I've offered my support through small and large contributions, and that was the point I was making. Even small contributions, when collected from many, can make a project a financial success. whatever it takes that is within our ability to help our fellow Rotarians achieve whatever it is they want to achieve is something I think all Rotarians should consider. Now, I'd like you also to imagine how easy it is to drive to the airport, jump on an airplane, and visit people you only know through your Rotary connection. Now, I know that doesn't work for everybody, but I can't tell you how many times I've just literally got the idea to jump on a plane and go somewhere and visit. Now, my one suggestion for you is that you might have a program in your pocket because they may ask you to be the program that day. The personal value a Rotarian receives from international service at any level is immeasurable and can truly enhance your Rotary experience as it has mine. So with that little bit of explanation of how international service can enhance your Rotary experience, I'd like to introduce you to another presenter, and that would be and he's going to talk about better health for Guatemalan children, and that's Skip McCowan from Lamorinda Rotary. So Skip, welcome. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Karl. Appreciate it. You know, just quickly, it's interesting. I'm going on another project to Guatemala in October, not related to the one I'm going to talk about. And we have a Rotarian joining us who just moved from Reading West to Houston. And he told me that his club raises $225,000 a year, but they spend every dollar locally. And so this fellow is going to hopefully go back to that Houston club after our project and convince them that maybe they ought to look a little bit beyond their local areas. What I'm going to talk about today is a project that some of you may have already heard about. It's been going on now for a while because of COVID delays, but it's a project that stemmed out of my attendance at a project fair in Costa Rica, and then a next project fair the year after in January of 2020 in Antigua, where I met Rotarians from all over Central America, including Rotarians from the Vista Hermosa Club in Guatemala City. And I hit it off with these folks, and as a result, we decided to figure out a project that we could do together. They had a long list of projects that they're trying to do. This is a club, the Vista Hermosa Club, that's done 20 global grants. They're just a total driver of projects in Guatemala. And so I was very comfortable working with this club. And one of the projects that they had on their list that they wanted to do was a concrete floor project. And I was trying to figure out a project that would be one where we could bring Rotarians from our district to help actually do the work. Because in my experience, hands-on projects are better than ones where we just write a check, because we can see the results ourselves. So I thought maybe this concrete floor project would fit the bill. So I did some research, and I found that there was a study out of Mexico. It was actually done by researchers from UC Berkeley on a concrete floor project done in Mexico. And the results of this study indicated that the ability to place a concrete floor rather than a dirt floor in a home in Guatemala, for instance, or in Mexico in this study, had an amazing effect on the health of the family and the children. And one of the things that you will notice from a couple of the slides I'm going to put up here, this is an actual picture of one of the homes that we're going to improve. It shows basically dirt outside and dirt inside. These are the types of circumstances that poor Guatemalan families live under in areas around the area where we're going to be working, which is just outside of Tecpan, Guatemala. As you can see, it's basically dirt everywhere. And what we learned from that study in Mexico was that dirt is a great place for parasites, animal feces, and other things to find themselves, such that children and family members can get parasitic infestations. They can end up with diarrhea. They can end up with anemia, all resulting from these terrible living conditions that they have to live under. And the Mexico study showed that there was an incredible reduction in things that cause children to have in Guatemala a 34% child mortality rate, including anemia and parasitic infestations. They were reduced by 78% in Mexico, and anemia was reduced by 50%. And all of the other health benefits that come from just a simple concrete floor caused me to think that this is one that we can do. So we started doing some work about how we're going to do this, and we got some money together. We're about 50% of the way toward getting our goal of $55,000 for this project. We started realizing that here's what we're going to be doing. This is a video of guys from my club in 2018 making a concrete floor in Guatemala. And it's all hard work. You just shovel all the materials together, you pour some water, you mix it. And within a couple of hours, you're also in the process of spreading that concrete to make a very smooth concrete floor on which this particular house was going to be built. In our project, we're going to go into 50 homes in Guatemala, and we're going to put concrete floors in 50 homes that are existing homes. So it's going to be more of a challenge for us to do that because we're going to have to deal with already existing walls, but we're going to do it. And we've got the help of some engineers in Guatemala and the Vista Hermosa Club. And through the course of this project, we decided that we're also found another problem that exists in these homes, and that is the inhalation of smoke from families that burn wood over open fires in their homes that are not vented. And as a result of talking with Brian South from the Moraga Club, we were introduced to an organization called Stove Team International. And Stove Team International agreed to work with us if we could come up with 50 homes, not 30, which was our original goal, to do 30 homes. They said, if you can get 50 homes, we'll put in stoves in 50 of these homes. So that's the new goal, 50 homes, new stove, new concrete floor. And we're halfway there in terms of the fundraising. And the stove that they're going to put in is called a Husta foam stove rather. And you can see it here, it's vented. It's very safe. It's not going to burn children. It only requires 50% of the wood that is required from open fires. So we're going to be saving wood, we're going to be saving deforestation, and we're going to be improving the atmosphere by not introducing as much CO2 into the atmosphere. So it's a two-pronged program that's going to help not only GI diseases, but also COPD, chronic obstructive lung disease, and other diseases of the lungs that are now causing trouble with many of the people in Guatemala. And how did we do this? Well, we did it through an organization called Phalarope, which is run by a Guatemalan woman who's a physician. She happens to be a Rotarian in Savannah, Georgia. And her organization has people on the ground in Guatemala, and they interviewed and found 50 homes where the people were willing to take these stoves and these floors. And you might think that that would be an easy task, but it's not, because there are a lot of Guatemalans that are very suspicious of any help from outside. They don't like government help. They think everything's fine the way it is when it really isn't. But through the help of Doris, who's a Guatemalan, we've found 50 homes, 50 families that are willing to get a floor and get a new stove. So we're going to be going down in February and start construction on these stoves. It's probably going to take us 2 months to do it, but over that 2-month period, we're also going to have a 1-week period where members of our district can travel to Guatemala, participate in the actual work that we're going to be doing, see the families, meet the families. We're also going to have time in Antigua, which is a beautiful city in Guatemala, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site city. It is going to be, we're going to have hosting by the Guatemalan Rotarians there so that you can meet Guatemalan Rotarians, you can work with the families, and then hopefully when all of this is done, we're going to be able to say that we have really improved the lives of lots of children. You know, it's hard to say exactly how many kids we're going to save with this project, but if you figure 50 homes, and it's probably more than 5 members of a family per home. So it's probably at least 250 and more like 300 or 350 people's lives will be improved by this very simple project, which can be done. It's going to take a lot of work. It's taking a lot of work already. Coordination between Vista Hermosa Club, our club, Phalarope, Stove Team is not easy, but we're getting it done. And we're going to have a great program and a great, hopefully a great result. And this is basically going to be a pilot program. And if it's successful, which I'm sure it will be, we're going to look to the possibility of having a global grant in the future to do more homes. In my judgment, this project not only covers saving mothers and children as one of the areas of focus of Rotary, It's clearly an environmentally sensitive program. It's going to improve the environment. And it's also going to keep kids in school. If you're not sick, you're going to be going to school. But if you are sick, you're not going to be going to school. So in my judgment, this program really covers at least 3 of the 7 areas of focus of Rotary. So hopefully, if we succeed, we're going to be able to prove to Rotary International that this is a worthy project for us to take into the future and make it a bigger project. If you have any questions at the end of the program, I'd be happy to answer them. But at this point, I think I've talked enough, and I'm going to turn it over to Yenjean Hwang from Orinda, who is going to talk about another amazing project in Zambia. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thanks, Skip. Thanks very much for that. Hi, everyone. I'm Yenjean Hwang from Orinda Rotary. As Sheila said, I'm the International Service Chair for my club, and I'm really happy to share with you our experience with global grants. We just finished our own global grant, our very first one, and this was a project to support the IVV Zimba Eye Clinic, and the picture is there right behind me, in partnership with Livingston Rotary in Zambia. So IVV was founded over 25 years ago by 3 Rotarians, Dr. Bud Teisinger of Antioch Rotary, Dr. Bob Grossroad, also of Antioch, and another Rotarian from an Ohio Rotary Club. So IVV used to run eye camps where doctors would come periodically to do surgeries and do eye care. But the Rotarians got tired of schlepping all their stuff back and forth, so they decided to build the eye clinic, and that's the structure that you see behind me with the solar panels on there. So the eye clinic now functions year-round and serves thousands of people every year from all over the country of Zambia, as well as surrounding countries. And you can look up on the map what surrounding countries those are. One big problem that they always had was power cuts. The power was constantly going off, often during surgeries. And so this was a really big problem that we identified. So this global grant was ultimately totaled $140,500. And with those funds, we were able to make the eye clinic completely power independent. It's running completely on solar power all day now. And we're also able to purchase new medical equipment and supplement some of the clinical references that the staff have available to them in the eye clinic. So as they're taking care of patients, they need to go look something up. We have some references in there that will help them. By partnering with an organization that has been in the country for some time, International Vision Volunteers, and finding a partner club with lots of experience in global grants, the Livingston Rotary Club, we were finally able to complete our first global grant. And as Skip has referenced, during COVID, we really got held up, and this grant was delayed by about 2 years because of COVID. But we finally just finished it, and this is again the result that you see above me. The solar panels are sitting on the eye clinic building, and so I wanted to thank District 5160 for the tremendous amount of district DDF funds that went into this grant. So all of our clubs in 5160 helped contribute to this exciting result, and in particular, Antioch, Lafayette, Lamorinda Sunrise, Gibbs Club, Rossmore, Clayton Sunrise, Larry's Club, Reading West, and Ohio, Moraga and Ohio Findlay clubs all participated. It was a really great effort. And if any of you are from those clubs and you want an update, the end result of your efforts, please contact me. I'll be happy to come to your club and show you the end result. We're also wrapping up a district grant to improve the current libraries. You see a shipping container in that bottom behind my shoulder. We use the shipping containers to construct a children's library and a general library. And the district grant piggybacked onto the global grant that we just finished, because we sent a new shipping container over with all the solar equipment and the medical equipment. So we're taking that new shipping container and making a dedicated children's library. And we think the IVV Community Library is the only free public library in Zambia. The concept of a library is pretty new in Zambia. So children and adults in the community come to the library for a quiet place to study, because oftentimes in their own homes, there's no desk and chair, and sometimes no light to study. So I wanted to thank the district for as well, because there was also district funds involved in that club, as well as, you know, the other 8 clubs that participated in this project. And that was Alamo, Antioch, Corning, Davis Sunrise, Delta, Orland, Red Bluff, and Reading West. Those they will also be excited to know that this project is nearing completion. And what's really exciting for me is that that as part of this grant, we bought textbooks that children did not have access to in the schools. And so kids can now come to the library to actually do their schoolwork, because too often the schools don't have enough copies of textbooks to go around. So we're providing a really critical resource for the community. I'm going to wrap up with 2 invitations for you all. One is on October 2nd, IVV will be having its annual fundraiser and reception. And at that time, we'll be honoring some very key Rotarians, Fred Nelson, who passed away last year, Clayton Sunrise, and Jim Green of Antioch, and Sheila Hurst of Reading West, who've made contributions to the eye clinic in terms of their support over the years. Please contact me if you're interested in coming to that. And the other exciting news is that in March of 2023, on the 24th through the 26th of March, the Rotary clubs of Lusaka, Livingston, and Mosiotunya, so several clubs in Zambia, will be hosting a project fair and a friendship exchange in Livingston. So as part of that, there's going to be a hands-on activity where Rotarians from, if you're coming to this, you can come to Livingston. There'll be a hands-on activity and field trip up to the Zimba Eye Clinic so that people can see the solar panels and see an eye camp in full swing. And then on the 25th and 26th, there'll be a project fair in Livingston with activities, including social activities. As part of that, there's a friendship exchange so that if you're interested, you can actually stay with local Rotarians in Zambia, which is a really fun experience. After that, you can extend your stay with a bunch of different activities. If you want to go bungee jumping off the bridge to Zimbabwe, you can do that. You can do that. Larry obviously says it's a go. Botswana, you know, all these other places that you can travel to that you can hook on to the end of your trip. So it should be a really exciting experience. And if you're interested, I think Sheila will have up-to-date information as it comes out, as the schedule is established. And I hope to see you all there. I'll be there in Zambia in March, and hopefully I'll see a nice contingent from 5160. And I would like to now introduce Larry Hutchings of Clayton Sunrise, and he's going to talk about their project in Uganda. So thanks, everyone.
Great. Thank you, Yenjean. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me to give you a little bit of an update, another idea for an international service opportunity. I'm really proud that Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise has supported so many other clubs, projects, international projects over the last 25 years, including we were the lead club on a global grant of $60,000 global grant for the International Vision Volunteers Eye Clinic. And we're very happy to be supporting the Lamorinda project as well. At the Foundation Day event in January, I told you, those of you who were then present, about the 12-year history of Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise Rotary's Adopt a Village project in the 2,500 resident village in Uganda called Nsawo, where we partnered with, over the years, with 3 different Rotary clubs for global and district grants that began the process of lifting the residents from illness and poor nutrition to self-sufficiency, where mosquito nets reduced childhood malaria by 95%, where clean water, pit latrines, and hand washing stations resulted in improved maternal and child health and led to increased school attendance. 1 in 16 women in sub-Saharan Africa will die in childhood. 1 in 5 young children's diseases is related to poor maternal health and nutrition. To overcome these odds, in 2017, Clayton Valley and Uganda Rotarians helped the local residents to build a maternity clinic that they wanted to construct in their village. We now have a small ambulance that transports patients to and from the clinic and to the hospital. And we have an ultrasound machine that aids in care. While the clinic's primary focus is the safe delivery of babies, including 4 antenatal visits per mother, it's also the focal point for basic medical needs for the community, such as treating high blood pressure, malaria, snake and dog bites, vaccinations, HIV, and family planning. The impact of this clinic in the last 5 years has been significant. Before the clinic opened, and the maternity clinic I'm referring to is the white building with the green roof that's behind me. Before that clinic opened, the mortality rate for babies was under 1 year was 50%. Can you imagine? Now it's 10%. 2 out of every 10 mothers have died during or soon after childbirth. Since the clinic's inception, the clinic has not lost a single mother. Last year, villagers decided to give the children an opportunity to thrive even more by building a pediatric clinic. So we have a very generous donor from a Rotarian from the Clayton Valley Club, Hugh Talui, and his wife gave $40,000 to construct the building that you see next to the maternity clinic. And we equipped it with a $6,000 grant from our charitable fund. Hugh is a very modest and self-effacing man. And when he had asked that the clinic be named after his and his wife's parents. So you see the name, but when he saw the size of this sign, he expected that the sign was going to say Rotary. And he saw this big sign, he was mortified. There is a sign that says Rotary, but this shouldn't be taken as an example of his ego. At any rate, the clinic opened, it was constructed over the course of about 6 months. And the pediatric clinic opened with a big celebration on March 31st of this year and started taking in patients. The only problem was that parents no longer had any money to be able to pay for the care. Before construction funding was approved, our Muyanga partners had come up with a plan that they believed would be able to receive adequate income, plus promised support from the Uganda government to pay for the monthly overhead. After all, and we had no reason to disbelieve it because the clinic over the years had never been short of money. They had always managed to get by with the fees that they'd been able to charge and other income. However, the destruction of the economy this last year by COVID, coupled with the effects of worldwide inflation and the unexpected stoppage of grain from Ukraine, plus the government's slow response, have combined to basically wreak havoc with their plans. The World Bank stated in its most recent statement about Uganda, quote, "New shocks hit the Ugandan economy in 2022, just as it was recovering as the COVID-19 pandemic waned and related mobility restrictions were fully removed. Commodity price surges and disruptions to trade and supply chains because of the war in Ukraine worsened a global economy that was dragging under the weight of new waves of COVID-19. The outlook for Uganda is now one of slower GDP growth with increased vulnerabilities, including in household incomes and food security," end quote. So we were faced with with a reality, with this new reality that where we're going to get money to run this clinic. So we and the Rotarians from our partners in the Muyunga Rotary Club, which is the largest Rotary Club on the continent of Africa, have jointly decided that we want to provide 1 year's support for their overhead to enable promised government support to kick in and give them time to secure additional local funding and local sources of support. They predict that over the next year, people will get back to being able to pay for more of their care, and the government's promised it will be able to provide further assistance. So we have medicines that cost $300 a month. We have medical supplies cost another $300 a month. Staff costs. We have 2 part-time midwives whose salaries are $135 a month if they can be paid. A clinician, $120 a month, a clinician and lab technician. Can you imagine a pediatrician, combination pediatrician and hospital administrator is only from our standpoint, $430 a month. Can you imagine that kind of job in the United States, what it would pay? So basically, we need about $18,000 for the year. And we've already, Novato Rotarians from the Rotary Club of Novato and its members have already paid $1,500 towards the medicines that are needed. That's restricted just to medicines. We have 2 Uganda Rotarians who have started, they pledged to pay $50 a month for a year. That's $1,200. Clayton Valley, Concord, our charitable fund, our members and friends have paid an additional $4,100 so far. So we've already raised $7,000 in 2.5 months. So, you know, these are unusual times, and this is something that can't wait. So we're asking you to put out the word, and if your club is interested in an immediate, where you can have an immediate effect in an international project, and one that we've invested, and Rotarians around the world have invested lots of money and effort and work over the years. We were asking if you, for example, could pay 6 months of a midwife salary, or a couple of months towards medical supplies. We're asking for you to consider doing that for us. You know, that I cut down the overall, the number of grants that we have done for this club over the years, with the global grants, which have been sponsored by multiple clubs in this district, solar paneling that's been put to on top of the clinics by the Rotary Club of Durango in Colorado. Ashland, Oregon has contributed the ambulance. It's been a labor of not just us and not just the local Rotary clubs there. So I think it's an investment that is well worth your time. And so I thank you for listening to me, and hopefully if you'll know where to get a hold of me, I'll make sure of that afterwards. So thank you very much. And I'd now like to introduce Daniel Kodam, the guru, the district tech guru, and from the Danville Sycamore Valley Rotary Club, Daniel Kodam.
Thank you, Larry. Guru. Okay, I got to remember that one. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm the web person for the district. I manage both the district website, but I also have worked with Sheila quite a bit over the last couple of years, building out a very specific international section for the district website. It's a separate website, which I'll share with you in a moment. But I want to give a little bit of a preface about this. Doing international projects can be scary for some clubs, especially if they've never done it. For those who have done it, it's important not just to be a traveler, a donor, but also to sit there and promote it. It's often that we forget, even though we're doing something to give back, that it's important to talk about it, to give the information out for several reasons. One is the more you talk about it, the more people, potential members, everyone knows the impact you're having within the communities around the world. Secondarily, it's a form of making newer clubs in international world feel comfortable that it's doable. So the more information you share, the better it is. I mean, when I went on my first international trip, it was one of the most rewarding moments of my Rotary experience, but it's not every club does it or knows where to begin. So we use this website as a form of publicity, as well as comfort, as well as giving an idea of what can be done. Saying that, I'm going to go through the site, kind of go through different aspects of it, and make sure that you know what you can find on here. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so you should be seeing the homepage of the international site. It is just has a slight deviation from the district site as DISC right before it. So disc.rotary5160.org. If you've never been there, please go check it out afterwards. And you'll see there's photos that rotate some basic information. There is committee you can join and you can email with some information. But the big things you'll find here, you'll find information about the foundation day that's done every year where we talk about how to get grants. There's a project fairs, that's information here. So you can go there and get information about project fairs. But the big one that gives a lot of data is the showcase area. This talks about different projects clubs in our district have done around the world. And you can kind of see the Rotary wheel, the different parts of it. These are individual projects. Like if you click here, you will find that the project shows up with a bit more information. And you can even email someone. So if this one, I did the China wheelchair distribution. So if you're thinking of, hey, I think I want to do a project in China, you can come here and even email the person, Rich here in this case, and say, hey, how did your project go? What did you do? It's a good way to having a resource available to yourself to do a project. And if, let's say you're like, you know, I really, really want to do something, let's just pick Sierra Leone, or actually let's do this Care for Kidney. I want to do a project in Thailand. So, but I don't have a club to work with, etc. So you can come in here and say, all right, I'm going to email Steve, ask him who he worked with over there, how it went, for things to keep in mind. So it's a great resource to talk to people and get information, but also to share and make the project less scary for you individually. Now, those who've done projects can come in here. It's always set as a default to a new submission. You can fill in the project name. You can put in the country it's in and select the area of focus. Fill in any club names, what your role was as a club, whether you're the lead of support, any non-Rotary partners. You can put the status, in process, complete, or planned, so you can start in the planning phase, because maybe you're starting a project and you want to get help, so you can put in here and have people come here to get more information. And you can put in here where the main funding is coming from. You can have a little description, caption for a photo you're going to join, if this is going to have some hands-on travel opportunities, and your information. And here's where you can drop photos in. Now, this is the first step. And I say first step because one of the things I want to encourage those who've done project is come back and update it. If you have something planned or in process, come back and give more information, drop more photos, give the information to expand on it. Whenever this is submitted, this thing comes back to Sheila and myself. I have this updated usually within a week or less, and then the information shows up here. As we expand on this, as more and more people join this endeavor, we are going to be changing this to allow for even more dynamic nature of things. So you'll be able to filter it by planned, in process, etc. But right now, what we really want to encourage is for you to update, add, and then for those who are thinking of doing a project, go out there and use this as a resource for yourself to get the contacts or just get some assistance in mentoring on how to do it. So use it as a resource, and I'm going to turn it back to Sheila. I'm guessing you're going to be the one next.
I am. Thank you. All right. What do you think? You want to join me in thanking our speakers, past District Governor Karl Diekman, Skip McCowan of Lamorinda Rotary, Yenjean Hwang, Orinda Rotary, Larry Hutchings from Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise Rotary, and Daniel Kodam. I'm going to be sending the agenda with the contact information to the people who attended. Suzanne, we're really glad you joined us. Hi, do you have something you want to say, a remark? You put a couple of comments in the chat.
We are recording. We will be getting these out to the district, and you just make me smile. Thank you all.
So in closing, I do want to quote, as I often do, our friend Donna Boyd from Mount Shasta Rotary, who reminds us that in Rotary, International is our last name. Good. And thank you so much for joining us.